all, welcome to Unicorn Light Tarot. I sincerely hope you are all doing amazingly well today. Welcome if you are brand new, welcome to this beautiful channel, and if you are returning, welcome also. So as we are starting this Archangel Metatron reading, I looked up on my computer and it said 111, which is an amazing sign that Archangel Metatron is with us. For those of you who know this powerful and beautiful angel, who I have been meaning to do a reading with on this channel for a while, so I'm really excited to be able to do this for you today. If you are experiencing any of these, the 111 sequence, the 1111 sequence, it usually means that Archangel Metatron is ready to work with you or is reaching out to you in some ways. He is a very powerful angel who can directly assist you in directing and understanding your own spiritual power here on earth. So we expect some wonderful messages today. Now, it is said that Archangel Metatron was once a human, the prophet Enoch. So he is understanding to the plight of being human. There is one other, I think it's Archangel Sandalphon, is also said to have had a human existence before becoming an angel. So Archangel Metatron is an amazing angel to call on for helping with negative thoughts and uncertainty, and bringing you in powerful messages, higher frequency codes, and learning to any situation and in your life in general. So again, if you've been seeing the 111s recently, I know I have a 1111, all those ones, as many ones as you can get in, right? Archangel Metatron is probably reaching out to you. So I know that I've been getting those number sequences, so I'm really expecting some really gracious and beautiful messages here for you today. And if we didn't have Mother Nature providing us with enough shadow, then my cat Mildred has decided to enter into the frame. Hi, Mildred. Can you sit down, please? So that's what we are seeing here. She'll sit herself down and get herself focused. So, okay, so she's sitting down here, and we have Kitty familiar energy as well as Archangel Metatron. So for 2021, really leaving it open to the angels to see what messages they come in. And of course, as always, we have our healing, beautiful candle here with healing oil. Anything you need to release, go ahead and release into the flame, or you can bring in healing and abundance into you. These sessions are always set up for healing, activation, support, love, advice, anything that you truly need at that time. So we've used the Making Magic for a little bit more of a beautiful reading, and to give you an insight as to what kind of themes will be coming up, possibly, probably, most likely, definitely, in your pile there. So for pile 1, we have healing. Let's see. And we've got Mother Nature streaming in here with the beautiful sunlight. So pile 1 is healing. That is your theme there. And then for pile 2, we have the goddess. And we have the sigils here. These beautiful sigils. And then pile 3 is time to shine. That is your pile 3. So as always, take as much time as you need to align your energy. The more aligned you are with your energy, with the reading, the more you're going to get out of it. So we've already gone through the introduction with Archangel Metatron and introduced you to the piles. So what I'm going to do here is we're just going to have a minute of of just shining light, Mother Nature's light, onto these beautiful piles. Now, you're welcome to meditate in that minute, use that time to align your energy however it is that you want to choose the right pile for you. So let's go ahead and do that for you now. And you can also use that time, of course, to work with the candle for healing too. You can also, you're welcome to, oh, there's Mildred. Yep, all right, whenever you're ready. Okay. You're also welcome to use that minute to meditate on specific answers or help that you need for Archangel Metatron and put it out there. More often than not, those answers get answered in one way or another in that reading. So go ahead and feel like use that minute to align in any way that you want to make sure that you're choosing the right pile for you. All right, let's move on to that for you now. Hello, Pile 1. If you chose Pile 1, this is your pile from Archangel Metatron, and we have the holy light that's going all the way through there from the heavens. So your healing card says true healing of the mind and soul. So that is your first card here, your first message, and your theme for your reading from Archangel Metatron. So we are moving into, we will be working with the angel tarot cards, and I feel like shadowscape is the other tarot that we'll be reading. So let's see what we have for you. The moon, Archangel Haniel, beautiful moon energy, gorgeous card. And then we have the page of cups, absolutely wonderful. These are really beautiful illustrations. You see that. So the first message for you, Pal 1, is you've done a lot of work on yourself one way or another. The way in which you work and the way in which you heal might look a little bit different to the outside world. You definitely have your own way of doing things, and that's wonderful. You're at the point, though, where you're beginning to see that you're holding your own light. Your understanding of divinity and how you hold divinity is absolutely gorgeous. What you're doing is, and what you've done is you've separated sort of, and this is how we're going to describe it, you've separated in a way the world and society means, and then you've separated into the sort of the spiritual aspect of who you are. And for many lifetimes, in fact, and particularly recently in the last year, but there's an echo of it all the way through this lifetime, you've kept them somewhat separate. The spiritual aspect of self, and then the sort of the social or the worldly aspect of self. You've kept them quite separate in one way or another. There's been a certain amount of layover, there's been a certain amount of integration within certain people and certain groups. And when you found those groups and you found those people in and around you, it was like, oh, the Holy Grail, this gloriousness that you could celebrate with them, the totality of who you are. But for the most part, you've kept them quite separate. And the way in which that works is that you've not been able to integrate yourself into the world fully in the way that you would have liked, to the power that you have liked or that you would have wanted to have. So people constantly, one way or another, sort of underestimated your power, and some people could have taken advantage one way or another, because it's not that they necessarily thought that you were weak, but they judged you incorrectly, and that's because they've gotten just a measure of who you truly were, not the totality of who you were. And you're not there to correct people. You might go off and be a little bit disgruntled, but you never really, and that comes back to not being fully understood and being fully accepted for who they truly are. And of course, we all feel that way, but you never really went out of your way to correct anyone. So The main thing is that you've been underestimated one way or another, and some people might even label you as an underdog. Now, that's not entirely true at all, um, but you might be labeled as that as you move into this sort of success mode that you have coming, which is really sort of what's going on in 2021. Everybody moving into a real true element of self that allows them to take off in the way that they want to. Allow is not the right word. I'm being told to pull that back. Create the space that from where on they can move into the version of themselves that they've always wanted to be, not allowing. It was a sense of divine timing for you, and for many like you. So really what's going on is to be able to see the divine within yourself, be able to see yourself as a pure vessel of light. Now that's something that you've had a problem with too. Now these are general readings, so take what resonates here and what doesn't. But you know, the way in which you've used your power has been sort of behind closed doors, and some of you are used to using your power behind closed doors because in previous lifetimes you couldn't really use your power out in the open. So you're used to doing this, and it feels a little strange somehow to have your power, especially when it's connected to your own personal magic, being out there in one way for all to see. Now, this is something that you've had to really deal with in this lifetime, being yourself in all aspects and saying, here I am, this is my power. It does come from magic. It does come from X, Y, and Z, and this is why I'm here, and this is who I am. And it's not because you doubted your own power. In many ways, you knew that you were powerful. Many of you might even be quite frightened of your own power because you could sense that you're very powerful. And the way in which people treated you, you could sense that they felt that you were powerful too. It doesn't mean that you had activated your power and you were using it to its full strength, but you sensed the power there. So it's not that you didn't feel like you were powerful, but in many ways, it felt as though you needed to pull it back. You needed to hide it in some ways. So this lifetime is very specifically about you not just owning your power, but to be able to wield it and use it at will in your lifetime without repercussions, without you looking over your shoulder, and without there being any shame. That's another thing that's coming up. In past lives, you may have been shamed, or for some of you, again, take this, if this resonates with you, wonderful. If it doesn't, that's great too. Some of you may have been told that you were either evil or equated with being evil for having the traits and the beauty and the bounty of magic that you actually have. Now, while you don't intrinsically believe this at all, you've inherited that label from a past life. So when you show your magic, you might actually have a connection to either feeling as though you intrinsically need to hide it out of fear of being exposed, and then what will happen when you're exposed, or, excuse me, there's a part of you that carries that label of evil, and then there's a little bit of shame or confusion, and maybe just a tad of fear that's connected to that label of power, and in your case, power being very much magical. So that's something that you've had to really work with in this lifetime, to really understand that you're not evil. There's nothing about you that is evil. That's not to say that there isn't darkness. Now, darkness for you is something that you have no problem dealing with. You've met it head on one way or another. There were definitely some demons for you to figure out and to work with, and again hit sort of head on. And if you didn't hit it head on or hit up your demons head on initially, that's totally fine because they were powerful in a way. You've had a lot of past lives, and we've come here to accomplish this pure freedom. And the only way we can do that is by having many past lives. In many past lives, you wouldn't have been what we call quote unquote good. So you might have had that dark side within you, and you carry that in with you, or the lightness of it, the understanding of it. So what you've had to do is to make peace with those dark pasts, as it were, assume and accumulate and integrate the wisdom from the past lives of that, and then release the label of evil. And that's something that was really true for you. Some of you may have been really, truly quite afraid of your own power, because you were very powerful in past lives. And some of those past lives, like we said, may not have been You may have succumbed to certain energies around you. Again, this is not judgment, and we've all been through this. The idea that we all go through, like Maids of Freedom, or The Hills Are Alive with the Sound of Music, running through completely innocent and victims in every lifetime, but we were pure as the driven snow. That's not pure as the driven snow. Pure snow, if it's driven, then it's not pure, right? Is absolutely inaccurate. We're here to come in and live life from many different cultures, from many different perspectives. And it's perfectly natural to have some lifetimes where you were you could have done a little bit better, or like we said, you succumb to other kind of energies in and around you. We've all done it. Now, what we need to do from that, they were past lives, and they don't need to come back into this life. Once the energies of those lives are integrated and the wisdom is pulled in. Now, most of us who have lived these lives that were very powerful actually have a lot more to integrate in this lifetime. But once that wisdom is integrated, there is a very powerful lifetime to be had in this lifetime. And this is where you are. But your magic is both good, and it's not good and bad. It's both light and dark. Now, that's not the same as good and bad. That's another thing that you've been working through. And we're working through this on a global level, on a personal, interpersonal level, on a spiritual level, this understanding of polarity that we've had on this planet, good and bad, black and white, one truth, this, that, and the other. We're working through that, and we're understanding that as being somewhat irrelevant. Not all of us are understanding that somewhat as irrelevant, but that's okay. That's their journey, and that's where they're going. But for you, it's about clearing up the confusement, that being confused about your next step and who you are, and really getting back to that lighter sense of self, and also beating to your own drummer and really pulling in and understanding that all the power comes from your own power, and to work from your own higher self. So what we're doing, and will help you do that, particularly in this reading, is that there's been some confusion about how to move forward, why to move forward, in what direction to move forward, 3 steps forward, 1 step backwards, and that's perfectly understandable. Now, when we're living in attunement with our own grace, with our own power, and we're connected to source, we live within the beauty of our own intuition, and there's never any doubt as to move forward. We're open to releasing what no longer serves, and then these synchronicities come in, and we start to live this magical life, right? But when we don't fully trust ourselves and fully trust our magic, and we're not fully drawn in and grounded into our own magic, what we do is we look for clues outside of ourselves in the external world. Now, the problem with that sometimes is that that we start to measure ourselves from the external world, and then we start to measure what our world, or our what our lives should look like. If we're making decisions based on the external world, then as we're checking in, we're kind of checking off this list. Well, this should have happened by now, that should have happened by now, X, Y, and Z. And then we get doubtful, and then we move away from our sort of inner consciousness, and we start to doubt ourselves. So this is specifically what's been happening for you, Pal 2, Pal 1. Getting ahead of myself here. Pal 1. So your true healing is this true healing of the mind, body, and spirit and soul, which is absolutely gorgeous. Now, when this happens, you actually move into a new way of being, a new way of alignment. And your new way of alignment is understanding that you, as a sacred vessel, the light is within you. All decisions are made within you. Everything that you need is within you, and understanding that as a totality of knowing that there's no answers absolutely outside of yourself. You don't need to check in outside of yourself. You don't need to check in into the outer world anymore, into the external. It's no longer needed. In fact, if you try to, it's going to cause more confusion for you. So you're being asked to slow down, really pay attention to your breathing, and this is conscious breathing, coming back into who you are, this new energy of moving between you and your source and your guides, whether it's the goddess, whether it's God, a Christian God, whether it's a God more into the universe. It's all one and the same. It's absolutely all one and the same. God shows up for us, and the Goddess, God, Godhead shows up for us in a million, 1,000 different forms for us on Earth and in the universe at this time, in this lifetime. How you choose to celebrate that is your own personal, private business, and it's all correct. All correct. There's no one way to God in this lifetime. There's no one true religion. So, however you choose to have this communication with your God, with your Godhead, with the universe, is up to you completely. But you are really at that point where you're pulling in this energy and you're working from your own vessel of light and your own power. Again, not relying on the external. So, when you slow down, you work with meditation, you work with your breath, you can actually ask questions. What am I supposed to do today? How do I move forward? What is my next move? Now, when you ask what is your next move, especially in meditation, where you're just looking for the answers within, they will be shined within you, and they will tell you with no uncertain terms what your next step is. Now, your next step may be out of the blue, or it may be skipping a step, or it may be like, oh, I didn't expect this to come in right now. That's fine. If you're being shown that move, that next step, that is what you are ready for, whether you think you are or not. A lot of you are going to be skipping ahead in ways that are relatively unexpected. So, when you're asking, what should I concentrate on next, your internal mind there, your sort of your pragmatic mind will come up with something. But if you are shown something that is fuller and better for you to move forward, you will be shown that, even if you weren't expecting it, even if your actual mind is saying, are we really ready for that? If you're being shown it from your angels, you can ask Archangel Metatron at any time. He is here right now working with us, but you can work with him to feel as though, if you feel as though your energy or your frequency needs to level up in order to move into that stage, that's fine. If you're being shown it, you're being shown that it is the right time for you. There's no sense in waiting. So for you, this is a very exciting time. And when we say cutting cords from the external, we don't mean that you're living in this like foo-foo la-la land where you're ungrounded and you're just like, this is what I'm doing and I'm not paying attention to anything in the world and I'm no longer of this world, and this sort of like fee-fee foo-foo kind of existence, this where you're not really connected and you're not really listening and you're in your own world, but you're also sort of not listening to anyone else. That's not at all. There is that kind of energy where you're not really plugged in as much as you think you are, and you're a bit of a you're in this sort of lula kind of existence. And what it is you're convinced you're right, but you're not grounded into your own reality. That may have happened to you at some point, but you pulled yourself back from that. You understood that that's what you were doing. Not at all. This is the absolute opposite. What you're doing is you're grounding so solely into your own magic and power that all of the light comes from within you. All of your knowledge comes from within you, your past lives and your wisdom. If there's something that you don't know, you will seek it directly from your source, from your guides. And that energy and that answer will come from within you. You're no longer looking for your answers from the external world. No longer are you looking for validation or seeking any kind of approval from the outside world. And when you do in any way, or that old energy leaks in, and there's just an essence of you moving back into that validation, or why isn't this working, or you go back into sort of old ways, it will feel very uncomfortable immediately, and you'll know to step back out of it. So really being healed into this light, into who you are, and using your magic, your beautiful magic and your beautiful source held light, and being able to wield it in this lifetime at will without any repercussions, or for you, any kind of fear of repercussions, any kind of shame, or any kind of label that it has. The kind of energy, the kind of beauty, the kind of magic, and the kind of power that you will be wielding will become first nature as we move into 2021. So this is the kind of energy that people are seeking to be in and around. This will be the sort of the new understanding of what it is to have a full life. So there is a reason. Some of this is divine timing too, and defining who it is that you weren't. A lot of your healing in this lifetime is figuring out how you were not who you said they were, how you were addressing the labels that were assigned to you, and how you were releasing them. As you've released them, you have this sense of freedom now. But for some of you, even if this is resonating, you could be at different stages. For some of you, you're definitely at that point, but there is this feeling lost a little bit because the old no longer works for you. Again, ground into your power, ground into your energy, but specifically ground into your magic. It's in those small moments of connection. Again, your understanding of the external world, your understanding of any kind of real freedom that you thought that you could have, or real success, has really shifted. And you've redefined the understanding of freedom. You've redefined that understanding of success in this lifetime for you. Ironically, you will actually achieve what it is that you've set out to achieve, but you will do it very differently, and it will feel very different when it comes in. It will feel as though you're doing it, or you're accessing it so you can make it accessible for others, to, a trailblazer, walk down that trail so others can walk down it in an easier fashion. So let's go ahead, and we've got the Archangel Oracle cards here for you. So this is a very new way of healing for you, but it's also on the back of many different healing routes that you've taken in this lifetime. So this is a very powerful moment for you, even if you feel as though you've sort of been here before. You haven't been here before, and you really do understand that you haven't been here before. Essences of it may feel somewhat familiar, and that's totally fine, because if you're in the middle here, you've been sort of working through and coming in at all levels, and now that you're in the middle here, you have that pure sense of freedom. And of course, that pure sense of freedom means that you have to find that freedom for yourself. You have to go up to that attic door and then open up all those windows in the attic and let out the old. So it's up to you to create that freedom for yourself. It was always up to you to create the world that you want to see on this earth. And we say this a lot sort of in the spiritual community, but what does that really mean? This is what it really means: grounding into your power of magic. You're insanely magical, you're very powerful, and letting go of the labels around magic that you may have inherited. Now, you're not directly connected to them, you never truly believed them anyway, so it's quite easy for you to walk away from them, but they were integrated into your soul in just a little bit. So being able to lighten them up and release them fully. It's like taking a thorn out of your side and being able to pull it out finally, and letting that wound just heal up really quickly. And your angels are really here just to heal that wound really quickly. There's not a lot for you to do here. This is just a switch in perception. It's not even really healing. You've done the work in healing. It's the switch of the perception of, what is it? You had the means to go home all along, the Wizard of Oz. So, but this is coming into that true understanding of what that truly means. So enjoy it, and enjoy your power. Enjoy using your magic and integrating it in this new, very powerful way, where you're not looking over your shoulder, or you're not sort of dumbing down the power that you have. Now, the other thing that we will say here also is that there is more people coming in and around you. As you were working through all of this, you often chose people around you who signified some of the shame and the guilt, and some of the people in and around you in past lives that may have shamed you. Now, that's totally fine. They could have been great people too, one way or another, and you learned some very valuable lessons from them, but your frequency could have been slightly different. So you found yourself lowering your frequency one way or another to sort of fit into the people that were in and around you. So as your frequency higher, and we're not talking about ego now, you're better than anyone else. You're absolute. We already know that. You've worked with the ego. It's not about that at all. You're here to be a beacon of hope and light for everybody, to shine light onto everybody so they can see their divine purpose in the way that you've been able to do it. And they can see themselves from their own inner being instead of judging themselves based on their past lives, the labels that they've been given, X, Y, and Z. That's specifically why you're here, why you are here. You'll do that in many different ways, through writing, through integration, some of you through medicine, through creative means. Whatever it is that you're doing already, you'll be able to bring in that understanding, integrate that into whatever it is that you're doing. But that is what you're here to do. And you'll be able to show people how easy it is. Now, it's taken you many moons in order to get to this place where you'll be able to show people and be able to live this way. But now that you know how to do it, it's very, very powerful. So all you have to do is speak to your guides, and anything that's left over as you pull out those thorns, they will be there, right there to heal them immediately. So don't get into, as we say, the rabbit hole of thinking that there's more healing to be done. It's not. It's a switch in perception. You've gotten to this point already where the rest of the light, it'll be like an aha moment, and it'll be like, how did I not get this before? And you did get it on a sort of a conscious level, but this has been integrated in an unconscious level where you know throughout your entire body where your power lies, who you are. And in that way, new people will be coming in with a higher frequency where you don't have to sort of delineate anymore, and you don't have to in any way sort of dumb yourself down anymore, and you don't have to be afraid of your power sort of blowing up or being misunderstood in any way. So you might have had pockets of people who have understood that, but you're coming into this newfound sort of soul tribe, and people in and around you. Now, this is work related too. You'll be working with them one way or another, signing contracts in 2021. So having this kind of energy in and around you where you don't have to hide aspects of yourself is absolutely gorgeous and is absolutely needed in this lifetime for you. So this is going to be a new way for you to be in this world, brand new way. Let's see what we have for you here. Outdoors, Archangel Jovial. Go outside, get some fresh air, connect with nature to relieve stress and gain new creative ideas. Absolutely. Now, when we say outdoors too, physically outdoors, obviously, most of you are nature lovers anyway and do understand that going out, huge affinity with trees, fairy folk, elementals. They're working with you right now. If you've not seen my previous video to this, working with fairy folk or elementals, please check that out, especially for you, Power One. They're absolutely the energy in and around you big time. But we're talking about the outdoors as well, the understanding again is that go outside of yourself, be able to see outside of yourself looking in. As you go outside of yourself, you're able to look in and see that bright light that you have, see that power for what it is, and see that power wielded in a way that creates more power and freedom for others. So that has a sort of a double meaning for that card here. And then what do we have here? Remember who you are. Absolutely. And that's what you're coming into too. Archangel Michael, you are powerful, loving, creative child of God. You are very loved. Yes. Remember who you are. That essence of yourself, that pure essence before people projected upon you. Again, coming back to that pure essence and wielding it in the way that you want. Connecting to that true power on your own terms. And watch how your life takes off. I mean, the way in which you were working, you know, trying to make things happen, it could have felt like you were working through quicksand or mud sometimes. Never fully necessarily went under, but it was really like, oh my goodness, like you've got two rocks on your feet and you're walking through a swimming pool, you know, oh my god, why is this taking so long? Why is this so much effort? You know, your energy will shift to this effortless life of putting out the energy and seeing where you go next, this pure alignment. Again, get right back in touch with your Godhead, with your source, with your guides, your elementals, your fairies. Let them know what is my next step. Listen, it's absolutely coming into you very, very clearly. A lot of you are sentient, clairaudient. The way in which you get these messages are absolutely clear without a doubt. Don't you dare compare them to the external world and what people would think of you, or try to integrate it with your practical mind. That's not what you're here to do anymore. Now, you're grounded into that practical mind enough. That practical mind and that divine masculine will be there to lay that action down to be able to move forward. But that masculine sense that wants to make sense of everything will not be able to do that anymore. And that's what you've had your entire life. But moving away from that now and working with that intuitive moment, that moment of releasing and being exactly who you are. So we've got Earth Magic now. This is your final card. Let's see what we have for you. Pile 1, but this is absolutely gorgeous. There, Green Man, synergy, absolutely. Back into your own version of magic. This own version of magic that you have is insanely ancient. And we want to remind you that you have this magic that you've worked on many, many lifetimes before. This is ancient wisdom that you're bringing in. This is ancient wisdom that you are connected to. Archangel Michael and Jesus is coming up also in your reading too. These are great angels and beautiful heart-centered masters that you can work with immediately, as well as obviously Archangel Metatron here to work with your frequency and to work with your Akashic records, with some other stuff, working with those records there. Some contracts can be cut and released at this time with people that are in this lifetime with you. So if you're feeling as though you just need a clean break, work with Archangel Metatron to allow that to happen. You have absolutely worked through all of your karma with this person in these situations because you're in a brand new place. So just cutting those cords will just allow you to feel that freedom even more. So work with Archangel Metatron for that. But again, that clear vision, bringing in that beautiful ancient wisdom that you have, and it will feel right. That intuition, again, alignment with who you are, grounding into your purpose, your true purpose, which is to shine light onto everybody and be able to show people who they truly are outside of the external world that just wants to show us who we are with labels, and so we can be confined and we can be and you know we can be judged, and it's not about that at all. This lifetime moving into 2021 and beyond is about showing what it's like to have a life that's undefinable, indefinable, completely indefinable, and really using power without the sake of having power. So it's really realigning with this ancient wisdom coming in and showing it in its very powerful form. So this is a very exciting time for you. It's a beautiful time for you to get back to who you are. So if you need to sort of turn off the phone, turn off whatever you need to do, YouTube, well, obviously, stay around for some, pick a cards and get some more wisdom. But, turn off, tune out, whatever you need to do, just to allocate some time to this, this new healing process that you have to come into who you are. So truly proud of you for getting this far. It's a hell of a lot of work and trying on different shoes and trying on different methods of healing to get to this point. So truly proud of you, Pile 1. So that's what we have for you, Pile 1. If this resonated, do let us know in the comments below, and feel free to give us a thumbs up. And of course, subscribe and hit that bell icon for these, pretty intense readings we have here. And don't forget to use the candle if you need to go back and reaffirm any kind of messages in this reading. You can use the candle any way that you want for any healing and alignment. Don't forget down below, if you're interested or if you want to check out, it's the video before this, the reading before this, for the beautiful fairy realm, working with the fairy realm. If you haven't already, I think you'll really get something out of that. And there are so many different ways to work with more support and love down below. We have, the Unicorn School of Light, Beyond Fear. That's a free course there. We also have, we've had some people sign up, some beautiful people sign up for our 21 days working with unicorn magic. Wonderful, wonderful stuff. And we also have the Intuition and the Oracle, which is a free course, a free 5-day video course, which is also on Unicorn Light Tarot. And there's always the unicorn therapy as we go through healing meditations, activations of the chakras there. So that's all all the more reason for you to join and come with us, and subscribe to Unicorn Light Tarot. So many different things and so many different ways to get love and support. So, sending so much love and light to you, Pile 1. Until we meet again, stay safe and sane. Okay, my lovelies, welcome to Pile 2. If you chose Goddess, healing feminine energy is what we are going to be talking about today, or the theme of your reading. And again, we are here with Archangel Metatron, and don't you dare forget, use that beautiful light any way that you want to, in any kind of healing capacity. So we are working with the Angel Tarot cards and Shadowscapes, I believe, for your tarot, and then we will move in to some Oracle cards. So let's see what we have for you. Wonderful. So the Page of Air, the Page of Swords, logical, honest, impulsive, curious, challenging information, delays or changes to plans, truth delivered without tact. Let's see what we have here for you too. We have the Five of Pentacles. Okay, so we have here, so the Five of Pentacles in here in their bubble. Now within the bubble, there is a certain amount of knowledge and there is a certain amount of wisdom within that bubble for the Five of Pentacles. But it's about knowing how to open that up and know that there is more for you to believe in, more for you to know. So as we always say, and especially in the last couple of months, you know, when we connect with energy, we're obviously connecting with Archangel Metatron, but we're also connecting with the energy at large. So the collective and what the collective is going through, and then beyond that we have the specific piles 1, 2, and 3. So there's always going to be some kind of crossover, particularly in the last like maybe 3 or 4 readings. Because what we're going through on a global level, on a collective level, is this massive clearing out and understanding what's left and who we truly are. So one could say getting back to basics, relying back on the ancient way of doing things, really understanding what works for us and what doesn't work for us, and letting those systems fall away. So for you, this is definitely happening. And it's been, you know, these are general readings, so take what resonates, but this could have been quite a painful process for you one way or another. Now, it wasn't painful for you because you believed in those systems that are now crumbling in and around you. There's a part of you that's like, yay, especially your inner child, that's like, yay, we're glad they're falling. And there's a part of you that's celebrating, even though there's a woe and an anxiousness that comes in and around it too. But it's really, it's not about believing in them, but at the same time, there was a sense of identity that was caught up within the sort of the old understanding, let's say, of the world, the ego understanding of the world. Now, it wasn't your ego that was caught in there. It was your sense of wanting to belong, your sense of wanting to belong and to be accepted. And my heart goes out to you, pal, to totally understand that. To be seen, to be accepted was so huge that you may have done one of two things. You may have pulled yourself out of society one way or another, deciding that it wasn't for you. Or when you integrated in a way that you really hid your true self. And again, there's an essence of this in pile 1, very different energy though. So you could be seen. So when you were seen, quote unquote, you were seen in a very particular manner. You were seen in a way that you allowed to be seen. Whatever you put up to be seen, that was seen. But then that part of you that was seen wanted the rest of you to be seen. So as these systems of trial and error are really falling away in the world and falling away within you, it's been very, very painful because, and again, there's a celebration of it falling away. But you realize that there's been so much of your inner self that has not gotten that sunlight, that has not gotten that nutrient, that has not gotten that love that it truly deserved, you know. And You may have shut down certain aspects of self in order to survive again, or you pulled yourself out of the world in order to survive one way or another. So some of you could be, have that sort of hermit mode, or have a sort of a life existence that you're kind of a loner in a way. And you do things on your own terms, but it's sort of, again, sort of a hidden life, almost like a hidden life. And a lot of you could be attracted to like science fiction or fantasy or that sort of thing. And that's who you really are. Now, science fiction and fantasy is actually fiction for you, not fiction. It's actually nonfiction for you. That's who you are. That's how you see the world. But again, not feeling as though you were fitting in, but one step further, shutting down certain aspects in order to get a certain amount of acceptance. And we need a certain amount of acceptance, certain amount of love to be able to live on this realm, on this earthly realm. We do. So it's almost like you forfeited the essence of who you are, that true beauty. You forfeited that just to get some kind of acceptance. But again, that acceptance was on the external world, other people's terms, something outside of you, and it was crumbling. That crumbled too. It's something that you couldn't keep in your life because it wasn't really you. You didn't really show who you were, and that's totally understandable. No judgment. Completely understand why you would have done that. We are moving into a completely different age. We are moving into a completely different version of effects, not just in the world, but how we see ourselves, and the nourishment that we give ourselves. And Pal One was very much about bringing back not just the power of who you are, but grounding that into the ground, going up through all the chakras and really understanding who you are outside of the external world, no longer looking to the external world at all. It's really all about you. Now, there's an energy of that in pile two. There's an energy of that in your reading, but it's a little bit different. You're being called to bring in that gentle energy, that gentleness of that gorgeousness that you have, and bring it back into the word for you is definitely gentle. I want you to look at that. The stars are all here. The cosmos is all here. Now, you are very much connected to that energy, and that's very much who you are. But you've cut that off in the way, and this is something that we've all done. Sometimes we cut off our sparkle to fit in, because not everybody around us sparkles, right? And when you do sparkle, people either get jealous, or they treat you differently, or they think that you're above yourself, or whatever excuse that other people have. And then you learn to sort of keep that sparkle under tight wraps, right? So you can protect yourself. There's been a lot of protecting going on in Pal too. But what's really happened is that you really understand that softness, that gentleness, that inner knowing, that inner acceptance, that absolutely gorgeous, beautiful soul that you have. You have this gentle, beautiful soul. I mean, don't get us wrong. I mean, there's times that if you are pissed off and you can put down those boundaries. You've had to learn how to do them, but you can put down those boundaries. You can send anybody you want to hell if you want. You've got that temper, but it takes a while for you to get there, and you really give people so many chances to be able to come back. There is a gorgeousness in you. There's a beauty in you that truly believes in the purity of the human existence, the purity of spirit. And even though there's so many things that you've done to expel that or shut that down, it's never, that belief has never really been shut down in you. So there's always been an aspect of you that's believed in fairies, even though your logical mind has come in there. Well, they're not really going to help you, or really, or yeah, we do believe, but we're not gonna really let that energy in and infiltrate every part of us, because we have to stay grounded. We have to stay in the world. We have to stay on top of things, right? It's this idea of staying on top of things. But for you, the divine feminine energy of intuition coming in, you've done a lot of healing with the divine feminine goddess energy. So while we would agree that this has happened for you already, we're going to go one step further and suggest that you've integrated the divine feminine and you've healed the divine feminine. What's going on for you now, pal, too, is integrating that divine feminine, where that divine feminine becomes your voice of reason, becomes your reason for living, becomes the sort of outer case of who you are, and is no longer protected. Um, and works with sort of the logic of who you are, and grounds into your energy, so that your magic and power is now forefront again, very similar in a way to pile one, but the way in which to approach it is very different, and the energy couldn't be more different. Really, there's a softness, there's a gentleness in this. It's almost like you've had so much fire. You used to have a lot of fire and a lot of passion. It's almost like it's been taken down a notch or a little bit, but it's still there. But the fire has been put out a little bit, because you've been looking for that external validation, or you've just been looking for that love outside of yourself. And we all need love. We all need acceptance. We all do. Absolutely. But it was this vicious circle with you, which is very sad. That the less you got from the outside world, the less you gave yourself in your interior world, because the outside really did reflect into the interior. Now, we all say that we have to give ourselves love first. We have to have that self-acceptance first, and yeah, I mean, but what does that look like? That's all woo-woo words. That doesn't mean anything. And this idea of self-love, I mean, what does that really mean? Obviously, we need to love ourselves, but actually the love that we have for humanity really creates that self-love for us. It's really about the backing in of the self-acceptance, of really understanding that who you are in this moment is the only thing that matters in this way. Not in this egotistical way, like you will follow me. This is the only thing that matters. No, not at all. And you know that. We're just being clear. You know that. You're not coming from your ego at all. In fact, you could do with a little bit more ego one way or another. Certainly in certain situations when people treated you one way or another, that ego could have set down those boundaries earlier for you. But again, no judgment. You learned everything you needed to learn from those situations, and that's a wonderful feat for you. But there's nothing more to learn from the old. There's nothing more to learn from the external now. We're not going to go on about self-love. We're just not. Now, there was, if you want to look it up, and if you feel called to, always listen to your intuition. It never steers you wrong. It always gives you red flags too, whether you choose to ignore them now. Everybody has free will. That's up to you. But you do get those red flags. And just to be clear, those red flags are a message from your divine straight to you. The person giving you the red flags has absolutely no idea that they're giving you red flags. That is your message directly from you to your Godhead, letting you know. That's how red flags work. So you've always gotten the red flags, whether you've chosen to ignore them or you've embraced the red flags. I'm going to do it anyway, because you've got that essence to your personality. Well done. That's that beautiful passion when you have it. Getting out there and living for the experience, you have that too. But your intuition is impeccable. So if your intuition tells you to go and there's one for self-love, definitely did checking in with self-love, and did messages and reading on self-love. It's within the last couple of months. Seek it out if you want to. That might give you a little extra advice for this pal too. But getting back to this reading here, everything you need and want is definitely within yourself. Now, we're asking you to fully integrate where you are, all of that healing that you've done. And the way to do that is pure self-acceptance. And the specific way of doing that, because we always like to give you some kind of practical way and support, is to really take in that energy and that beauty of the divine feminine, again, that you've been working on. This is work that you've been doing in many, many different lifetimes. And you're so secure with aspects of the divine feminine in some ways, that it's almost like, oh, I got this. And then you don't go back to rely on it in the way that you truly could, because it's so much a part of you, and it's so who you are, that it's almost like, dare we say it, real talk here, you almost like at certain times you take it for granted. So we're asking you to take that divine feminine healing, that divine feminine voice, that divine feminine intuitivity. I always get, when I channel, there's certain words that I just can't get out. Taking that beautiful essence of the divine feminine and integrating that fully into your life, where your power comes from the divine feminine. You are seeking out only your intuition. You're working with your Godheads completely differently, like you than you were before, and you allow that energy to come into a place where there's nothing left to do but to accept yourself on every level with that trust and information and that beauty and that gentleness. Really allow in getting this vision of like uh, uh, pouring sort of a thick liquid into this beautiful sort of mosaic, and really letting that thick liquid come in and fill in all of those cracks. And when those cracks are filled in, we can sort of wipe it off. And what we see is this beautiful mosaic, which is you, all your experiences, all your beauty, everything you've been in, everything you've been through, all of your wisdom, everything integrated. And then the divine feminine energy is what's holding it together and piecing all of it together. And then that is you. That is your self-acceptance. That is exactly you. And really stepping back and looking at the beautiful art piece that you are. So if you want to do this on a very sort of very physical level, and actually do a meditation whereby you really envision yourself as a mosaic, and then the divine feminine is the energy coming in. And then as you wipe it off, it would be really interesting for you to really take note of what your mosaic really looks like, and how all your experiences have integrated together. When it's integrated fully with the divine feminist goddess energy, and this should be easy for you to do because you have a lot of the goddess feminist energy, feminine and feminist energy, yes, within you. But to integrate it now is to pull it into this full kind of energy of who you are. And then this Five of Pentacles, you can look up and see that even in this little bubble that you created, where you did need it to protect yourself, there is still butterflies, there's still elementals, you're still connected to the earth. Everything is coming up to encase you in a way. You still have the pentacle, the spirit, the essence of spirit above your crown chakra here. And if you look up the bubble, everything you need is right outside of yourself. So come into this energy if you feel called to. Again, you can do that as an actual meditation for you, pal, for that mosaic, and really take note, write down what your mosaic looks like. I'm sure you'll get these incredible, beautiful kind of results. And if you feel comfortable, and you do this meditation, feel free to write down in the comments below and let us know. It'd be really interesting. So it's everything you need to know is coming to you now. And, we're asking you to stay with that gentleness, to stay with those moments where you feel completely connected with the earth, and really allow in the information that's coming in now. The logical information that we have here, you have the sword of truth coming in, and the logical information is coming in. It's honest and it's curious, but again, it's connected to the external world, and why it may be giving you an inkling of what you need to work on. Very often this external advice that comes in is connected to sort of labels and other things you've already worked on. So we're not asking you to go loop to loop and go back into things and heal everything, and and really work through old situations to see if you can get new advice. You'd just be sort of running around like my cat does, running around her tail. It's really fun work, but at the end of the day, you might catch your tail, but only if you sit down and actually catch, and then you can play with your tail. But while you're running round and round, you're never really going to catch your tail. So again, there's nothing wrong with the practical mind. We love the practical mind. It's your understanding of action and moving forward, and that passion that you had. But we're asking you to put that aside for now and really allow in this goddess healing feminine energy. And we want it again to really meld into your soul in the way that you've not really done before, and allow it to come into your essence of who you are, and allow it to meld into your version of self-acceptance. And once you do that, you can work from that version of self acceptance. And then you have this new version of self that's grounded in your own power without this need for a validation from the external world. Then you don't need to hide any aspect of yourself. Your frequency is higher. Archangel Metatron is working with your frequency now to really make sure that your frequency goes higher. So if you feel a little lightheaded and you feel that could be fine. So we're just going to send your roots down into the ground too, to ground you into the energy of Pile 2 while that healing takes place too. And to really lift yourself up from the experiences, from what you've been through, and give yourself that gentle, loving energy and that room to integrate the goddess energy on your own terms. Again, the goddess energy is not unfamiliar to you, far from it, but really gathering your wisdom and allowing it to come into a space where it provides this platform and this foundation for your self-worth. And from there, pure self-acceptance comes on your own terms. Then you're not looking to hide any aspect of yourself. And that's when your life sort of shifts and changes perception. That's what we're looking for you. So let's go in and get some oracle cards for you. We've got the Archangel Oracle cards here for you. So that gentleness, coming back to that gentleness, not being hard on yourself, accepting yourself exactly where you are. Again, self-love comes from the act of loving others. When you can love others, that self-love comes in. So the idea that we love ourselves first is not always accurate. And for you, and again, this is a general reading, if you've done this another way and you're healing and you feel great, go be you. That's the way to do it. But for those of you who are stumbling a little bit, trying to get that self-love first, loving others is a way to get that self-love. But being able to have that grace to love others is full acceptance of oneself first. And then you can see the full acceptance in another. It lends to love. And then that self-love comes back to you, reflects back to you. So full acceptance, that gentleness, staying in that moment. Again, we said at the beginning of the introduction, Archangel Metatron is the king. I was going to say the queen. I don't think he's going to be in any way, shape, or form offended by that title. The king and queen of shifting your energy or that negativity into that positivity. Bring him in. He's working in this light for your Pile 2s right now. So just stay with you. If you're feeling a little bit more grounded, that's wonderful. We're grounding you into the energy so you're not feeling third eye, throat, chakra and your crown chakra too, a little bit tingly, a little bit lightheaded. But again, bring that Archangel Metatron to work with you. If those lower frequency comes in and starts doubting you, or you're not good enough, you're not this, that, and the other. Again, those are voices when you were looking for to work within the external world, and you weren't fully in the external world anyway. It's almost like you had one foot in the earthly realm and one foot in every other realm. That's how you've been living your entire life. So for those of you who have earthy inclinations but don't always feel incredibly grounded, that's probably why. But the grounding now will come to you with your mosaic understanding of pouring in that energy of the divine feminine and getting back to who you are. So teaching and learning, Archangel Ezekiel. Keep an open mind and learn new ideas, then teach those ideas to others. And that's the other thing that you have in common with Pile 1 too. I mean, you are here to teach and be a teacher and to learn. You are here to teach others how to do what you're doing. So of course you had to experience everything at every basic level. That's something that you're not afraid of, Pile 2, to really get in there and experience stuff. You know, your passion. We talked about earlier, you know, even if you've had the red flags, you might have said, okay, I'm going to go in and do it anyway, because you wanted that experience. Very few people would have done that. When you compare your life and your experiences to other people, most people would say, my goodness, you know, you've lived a lot, you've done a lot. For you, you would always be like, no, not really. And then there was a process of your life where you pulled yourself out of the world a little bit because you needed to. And that's what you often focus on too. So integrating fully into the life where you're not just allowing yourself all of, which is great, allowing yourself to go into these situations just for the experience and then pulling back to recover, to really incorporate and have this really, really blessed, very balanced life coming from a very firm foundation of your own energy, coming in from the goddess. You are fueled by the goddess. That's not to say that you don't have this balance between the divine masculine and the divine feminine, but you are here to bring about the existence of the divine feminine yet again. If this is resonating with you, Pal 2, this should not be an alarming aha moment for you. You absolutely know this. So of course you're going to bring this energy to the world and integrate it in a brand new way, ancient wisdom in a brand new way. So allow that gentleness and this new thought process and this new way of using this foundation to create this very, very firm sense of self-acceptance on your own term. Allow this time for you. If you have to, again, if you have to shut off the phone, do whatever you need to do. Most of you are used to the hermit phase or need a lot of space in order to heal and revamp anyway. So this should not be very difficult for you. And obviously, depending on where you are in your life and what you're doing and what responsibilities you have, take as much time as you are able. It's a luxury for some people to have an incredible amount of time on their hands. They have a full-time job, family, this, that, and the other, but wherever you can, find that time. And if you don't have a lot of time, then if it feels right to you, think about doing and incorporating that meditation that we suggested with the mosaic, because that is a way that you get into that energy and find that self-acceptance a lot quicker if you are, hurting for time there, for some spare time for freedom. Angel therapy. Archangel Raphael, give your cares and worries to us angels and allow us to take your burdens. Absolutely. The way in which you work with this self-acceptance and this goddess energy, you're not here alone, connected fully to the intuition that you have, knowing the next step to take, and really feeling, for those of you who have felt very connected at times but have jumped out of that understanding and have not felt very grounded, and for some of you, again, general reading, if this doesn't ring true for you, then that's wonderful. But not all of you have always constantly felt safe in the earth or on this earth, in this earth realm. That's partly from past lives, but that's also partly because of the way in which you're grounding, bringing in and securing that first base and that star chakra. Also, we have the unicorn therapy. There's a star chakra and a root chakra that we have on this channel. Go ahead if you feel called to, again, if your intuition takes you and you need a little extra clearing out and healing. Those two are available free on this channel. Go ahead and check them out. They can help you. They're healing, their activations. To really secure those chakras and bringing in that goddess energy there secures you in a way that you always feel, no matter where you go, you take that sense of freedom, you take that sense of inner knowing, you take that sense of authority, you take that sense of your inner compass, and your grounding to the goddess, to your own magic, and that can never be shaken. Whereas before, you feel grounded in certain situations and then a certain type of energy would come in and knock out that groundedness. This is a way to stay grounded all the time, which means that you are connected to your life in a brand new way, which means more inclusion in everything that you want, and living this life of effortless beauty. So work with those chakras if you need to. If you don't want to work with those meditations, that's perfectly fine. There are 1,000,001 meditations, probably on YouTube alone, for those, for the star chakra and the first meditation, first chakra, root, base chakra meditation. Again, go with what your gut says. So we have earth magic here. Hopefully we're giving you some solid advice here. Dance, celebration, absolutely. For those of you who have been coming into this, this, I don't know where I am. I've done so much work. This little bit of, not even negativity, it's like this cloud of darkness is a little bit over you. We could call it depression, but it's really over you. For those of you who are in that Please recognize how far you've come. Please recognize how much you've done. This is just a shift in perception. This work that we're asking you to do, that you're moving into, that's really, really easy to do, would only be possible if you had not, if you had put yourself out there and done everything that you've done. All the hard work's already been done. We're just asking you to open yourself up to this energy coming in, so you can let it in, and it will provide all those connections that you need, and that grounding that you need to celebrate, dance, love who you are. It's an incredible feat, to have the power that you've had in this lifetime. Instinct, absolutely. We talked about that. Your instincts, did we not say that your instincts are second to none? I mean, they're absolutely wonderful. Your intuition, when you followed it, is absolutely, it takes you to the next step. All we're doing is we're heightening your intuition, and having that sort of insular base whereby you're only ever working from your intuition and your instinct and your gut and your heart. You're living from your heart and not your mind. And this is absolutely made possible by the full integration of your goddess energy, full acceptance, full grounding and healing of the base and star chakra, and moving you out in the world in a completely different way. All the hard work's already been done. You'll be taking in this energy, teaching others how to do it, whether you're physically teaching them or whether you're just standing in your own energy. And in that way, you're enlightening everybody that you come into contact with. So this is a very exciting time for you. Please take the time to be able to do this. Use the resources that we have, or find other resources if you need. Again, for the angel therapy, for the star chakra and the base chakra, and again, the idea of the mosaic, if you want to use that in your meditation. So just hopefully this resonated with you and gave you some hope if you're still in that kind of stuck, I don't know where I am. Trust me, the light is right there. You just need to look up, and it's right there. And the physical way of doing it is to bring in that beautiful divine feminine, let it wash all over you and integrate fully. And we absolutely promise you, you will see your life completely different. The understanding of self-acceptance on your own terms just shifts your life ever so much, and you'll just be living this really sort of famed, beautiful sense of freedom that you've had aspects of it before, pockets of it you've lived in before, but now you'll be able to do it all of the time. So Pal 2, we sincerely hope that this resonated with you. If it did, feel free to give us a thumbs up. Let us know in the comments below. And as we said before, if you feel like you want to do the mosaic, beautiful meditation there, and let us know what you saw, that would be great too. But if you don't, please do whatever you need to do. Not everything needs to be public, but if you feel like you want to share it, that's great. We're here for you. And obviously, there's other resources. We've talked about the other resources all the way through Pal 2, with the chakra, the therapy chakras, the unicorn therapy, working through the chakras. We also have intuition and the oracle, all free. If you want to work with your intuition, 5-day course. And we also have the Unicorn School of Light. We have pulled out a few of those courses from the Unicorn School of Light and made them free on the channel, but there's still 2 courses there. One of them is free, which is Beyond Fear, and the other one is 21 days working with the beautiful unicorns. Get some love and magic back into your life, your badass self. So many different ways, many different things for you to choose from to get support and love. So go be you and allow in that light, because mixed with the light that you already have, Pal 2, you'll be running this world in about a week. Sending so much love and light to you, Pal 2, until we meet again. Bye-bye. Hello, last but not least, Pal 3. So these are your messages from Archangel Metatron. We've got some deep stuff going on, so I'm sure we'll get that for you, for your messages. So if you chose Time to Shine, it says creates the energetic resonance for golden opportunities. So that is the theme for your Pal 3. It's kind of been the theme for all 3 of the Pals, which I'm not surprised about. Do not forget that we have our beautiful light here to expel and release what no longer serves you and bring in abundance and healing however you want to use it. So we are starting off with our beautiful Angel Tarot cards. We also have the Shadowscapes Tarot, and then we will be moving into some other oracle cards. So let's move right in to your cards here. So we have the 10 of Wands, the 10 of Fire. Too much work, accept help from others. Life is out of balance, stress-related health concerns. Okay. And then we have the 6 of Swords here, and that is reversed. So so there's a few things going on here, pile 3. So the first thing that you're doing is you're releasing anger and tension. And, you know, you're learning to use your anger appropriately. You know, in this lifetime, on this earthly realm, things are shifting and changing, of course. But, you know, we're often taught to sort of not listen to our anger, or to repeal it, or to dumb it down, or to not allow it out, or, you know, sometimes, you know, you're not allowed your anger, or you're not allowed to be angry with the other person because the other person knows best, or whatever it is. So you are learning to use, you have a lot of passion, and there's been a lot of anger too. For, I mean, these are general readings that take what resonates, but for you, you've really learned to use that anger, turn it into passion, turn it into sort of a catalytic motion. You're definitely alchemists. You definitely know how to use alchemy. And all of this is absolutely wonderful, having this notion and this knowledge of alchemy and how to use it and translate it and transform it. Absolutely wonderful. But at its base level, what we're asking here is to truly heal and really deal with base level sort of healing at this point. So anger at its base level, you know how to transform it. You know how to dumb it down. Sometimes it comes out in inopportune moments and you can take it out on somebody else, or a situation that doesn't really apply. You know all of this about all these scenarios, how you've worked with anger and how you've used it as a catalyst. You've also used anger and fear in many ways to motivate you to move forward. You've used sort of what we would consider negative emotions on this earthly plane, and they're not negative at all. They're just emotions. They're part of us. It's part of the darkness. We're not supposed to dumb it down, right? But you've taken the use of negative emotions and you've used them in such a way that you can utilize the energy from them. And that's absolutely wonderful. But again, you're being asked now to come back to the moment of sort of heartbreak, the moment of anger, and come back to the source of your anger. And instead of going forward and manifesting a different outcome and working with it and, you know, doing your catalyst motion of turning it and transforming it, you're being asked to come back to it in its most basic form and deal with it there. And from there, you can actually find so much healing and so much information about yourself at that base level. Now, the way in which you do things is absolutely gorgeous. You have this personality where, you know, small things that are really, really basic for other people kind of like go over your head. I don't know how they did that. How do they live that world that way and live this really like gorgeous, very simple life? And then I make everything really complicated. But when it comes to complicated things, like you're there, you're the first one there, you've got it, like you're be the first one to, like, you know, as an example, as a practical example, you could edit a film by just watching a tutorial and work with your own magic and timing and bring in everything that you need. You could do that really successfully. But then you forget to save your work. And very often your work goes all over the place because you forget to save it. Or you don't know where your notes are or something like that. So this basic element, my OCD is kicking in here, pile 3. So give me a second here. So at a basic level, when people are working on a very basic level, it's not that, you know, you don't, not getting it doesn't mean that you can't get it. It's just that you tend to overcomplicate things in your mind. And ergo, you're able to work with very complicated situations. When you come to solve something, you'll think of the most complicated method to be able to do that. So that's why you're able to really work with all of these negative emotions. And I keep doing that because they're not negative. They're part of us and they need to be dealt with. And that's what you're working with. But you tend to take these, instead of working with them at a baseline, where is this really coming from? You know where it's really coming from. You'll choose to go to the higher level and do, the most advanced form of alchemy in order to work with it and work within your life. Now, that's a wonderful thing to do. And trust us, it's coming back into your life where you'll be able to help others to do that. So that's wonderful. And there's no judgment here. But you're asking to come back very much in the same way pile 1 and pile 2, but again, very different energies throughout all piles. You're asked to come back to the main level, to the first level, to the basic level, and deal with things as they are in a very uncomplicated way, in a very basic way, in a very understanding way, in a very liberal, in a very freedom-oriented and very gentle way of knowing where your anger comes from. We know what you do with that anger, and you know where it stems from. We're asking you to come back to that anger and really understand and release once and for all that anger and that heartache. Now, a lot of it can be from, and again, these are general readings, so we're just giving you different examples. If some of them apply to you, that's great. If they don't, they don't. Parents, the way in which you were brought up, not being given enough love, not being shown enough, whatever it is that you needed. A lot of you were very highly sensitive, very empathic children too. So you needed that extra attention, or you needed to be shown that you were understood from a very young age. And the truth is that many of you didn't have parents that understood you. Either they just didn't have what it took to understood you, or they were also like you and had found in the world that if you shut that down, that was the best way to do it. And that's what they were going to do for you. And they did it consciously, trying to quote unquote protect you, but it didn't work. In fact, it ended up doing the opposite, because they were able to live a life where they were able to shut it down their entire lives. You were never destined to do that. So at some point it was always going to leak out. So that protection can only, it's like a Band-Aid on a wound that needs stitches. What is that going to do? That's only going to help you for a little bit. It may have worked for them, but it didn't work for you. And again, there's no malicious intention. We're not saying anything bad about the family unit or anything. People do their best, and just sometimes it just isn't what you need, and that's just the way it is. So and then people in and around you too, as you were growing up, you could have had some really great friendships, but you also sense that you weren't quite the same as other people around you. So you learned in one way or another to work with these base elements without taking them all in, because you weren't given the tools to figure out how to work with them. Now, you might have thought that you were a little bit of a freak, or you did things differently. You might have been called a freak, or people were slightly afraid of you, or slightly afraid of your power, thought you were a little bit odd. Some of you could have been bullied for it, or had some kind of negative connotation to who you were. Now, we're sending love and light to you for all of those who went through any of that, either all of it or just even a little bit of it. Not being understood, especially when you're that sensitive, is absolutely heartbreaking. And also being encouraged to shut down. For some of you are actually encouraged to shut down aspects of yourself. That's not really what we do here. That you don't need to do that at school. You don't need to do that. So there might even be a little bit of guilt or shame in and around some of your beautiful traits that you have. These gorgeous traits that you have. So this is all about coming into your own power, obviously, and your time to shine. Now, the way in which you're going to do that is to work with your base chakra. And first of all, the betrayal is coming up, and the pain of not being given what you needed at the time, and the anger surrounded that. Now, you're going to have to go back. You don't have to do anything, but you're being asked to go back to where it really stemmed from. So if it's the family unit, then it's the family unit. Now, throughout your life, there will be other circumstances and situations and people that would have honored that family unit's way of doing things too. You would have attracted more of that energy into your life until you get to the point where you're ready to work with it at your base level, which is where you're at now. You've done a ton of healing on this. Again, so we don't want you to go down the rabbit hole of thinking that, I've got to go through this again. No, absolutely not. We're going to bring in, Archangel Metatron's already here, but we're going to bring in Archangel Michael for this reading too. As you know, we like to do some activation and healing, whatever it is that you need, give you some concrete support in these readings. So Archangel Michael is able to cut the cords that you no longer need. that needlessly sort of wear you down and tear you down. So that's happening now. So we're also going to ground your energy into the world, and into inner earth, into Mother Gaia there. So keep breathing as we're clearing out this energy. This energy's already been healed one way or another. As you work, going back into the base of working with that anger. It's just a matter of acknowledging it and then releasing it. So don't get into this, oh, I've got to go back and do this. And we're not asking you to go back and bring up all this stuff. There's no need to go back constantly over and over and over again. So Archangel Metatron is working with and raising your frequency. Now, when your frequency is raised, what we're doing is we're giving you the objectivity to be able to see this from a higher vantage point. And when you're at that higher point, you're able to forgive and release a lot quicker. Now, we always say at Unicorn Light Tarot, this never excuses anything that you went through. If there was anything that was done consciously or unconsciously, if there's any kind of abuse, we're holding you in light now. We're not saying under any circumstances that any of this was okay. No, not at all. And you have every right to your anger. That's the one thing that we want you to know. The baseline for this reading, you have every right to your anger and how you've worked with it. If anything, we're inviting you to invite the anger in so you can release it once and for all. You forgiving is forgiving your point of being there, forgiving you, whatever you need to be able to release once and for all, and to expel this anger and betrayal once and for all. That's what we're giving you, the gift of that. If you choose to forgive them, that's up to you, but it is not necessary, repeat, not necessary for you to heal and cut cords with these situations. And to come back into a new layer of healing. It is not necessary. And it's very much a personal level. How you decide to be able to do this, if you decide to choose to see it as they were doing their best at the time, or if you decide that I am doing what I need on my part so I can literally remove myself from this situation and firmly heal from this anger, from this sense of betrayal, and from this real pain of not being seen and not being accepted at this base level. And I should have had that, especially as being such a highly sensitive person that you are, that's such an empath. So how you choose to do it is up to you, but we're asking you to invite in that base level, that anger, betrayal, and that disappointment. So yeah, if you go ahead and you work with Archangel Metatron, and even after this session, even after this reading, feel free to work with Archangel Metatron too. He will definitely work to, again, higher your frequency and enable you to do this once and for all, cutting the cords once and for all. And once you've done that, you get this new profound sense of freedom. For you, you've worked with fear, you've worked with the alchemy of the energy of betrayal, and you've worked with it very much with anger, as we said at the beginning of the reading, but it's never been fully released. So every now and again, there's a reminder, there's a person, there's a situation that comes in that triggers you, brings you right back there. Now, if this is released completely, and then what you can do, first of all, you won't be triggered by this anymore, by any situation, anything in the external. And the second thing it will allow you to do, not allow you, but you will be able to do, is you'll be able to ground into your power and energy a lot more. So you feel more secure in yourself, more secure in the world, and more secure about the process of life and the way in which you're going. For some of you, and again, this is a general reading, but for some of you, you take a very, very firm step, or really sure about this, and then it's like 3 steps forward, and then was that the right step? So that's going to eradicate all of that. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that every step is going to mean something. As you step, you might go off into tangents. That's fine. But it means that when you take that firm step, you know that firm step will lead on to something else. Even if that's something else that is seeming random and tangent, that other tangent will lead somewhere else, and then it will all make sense in the end. But you'll have trust in the path that you take, rather than taking step forward, putting your energy behind something and then having that self-doubt. Did I do the right thing? Which is what happens to you more often than not. So it'll give you the chance again to have that firm sense of freedom, knowing who you are, so you can take that energy into your life and really connect with your own energy and power in a way that you haven't before, that doesn't rely on the external world, and you won't be triggered by the external world and creating situations, people, whereby you're constantly creating them, bringing them into your life one way or another, not necessarily constantly, but you're doing well, and all of a sudden you're triggered by something because it's coming up. You're attracting that situation so you can heal it. So let's just go back to the roots. Let's heal it. Let's see what we need. You didn't want to spend all that time healing it before, because that sense of betrayal and that sense of that darkness and that disappointment felt so overwhelming. So we're sending so much love to you, so much love and light to you, Pal 3. And also, you hid your little inner child there to protect your inner child. Your inner child had to grow up real quick for some of you. So there's a lot of protection there. So the full integration of the inner child happens at this stage too. So you can get back that lightness and that freedom, of that joy. Some of you feel it, but you can't always keep hold of it. It seems to be this sort of elusive substance where it comes in, but then again, the triggering comes in, and then you're back to this disappointment, and you turn it in on yourself. You get that anger, you turn it in on yourself. So some of you can have digestive problems. Some of you could have had bad skin at some point. For some of you who have had like really powerful kind of actions with anger, I mean, lights could like flicker, all sorts of different things could have happened maybe when you were a little bit younger, because one way or another, from alchemy, you've been working with this understanding of what it means to you and how to work with it, for this anger, turning it into passion. But at its base level, there's nothing to fear anymore, and nothing's going to overwhelm you. In actual fact, we're going to say, Pal 3, it's going to be kind of an underwhelming experience in a way, because you've been saving this to last. It's almost like, oh, I don't know if I want to go back to the base and really look at this betrayal, really look at where it comes from. Yes, I projected it onto other people, and other people have come into my life, and yes, I'm actually kind of angry at them, but really it's not. It all goes back to this, one situation, or this one amplified moment in my life, or this, my upbringing, this specific thing that you already know what it is. But I don't want to go back there, because I don't know if the sadness will come in, if I will be able to come out of that. I've worked with it my own way. That's the way it is. Well, you've worked with it in such a way that when you go back and finally say it, will be anticlimactic, because it'll be like, oh, that's it. You've done so much of that healing. It's just going back and kind of letting out the rest of the stale air in that room, opening up those windows, cutting those cords once and for all, and releasing once and for all. And what you'll see is a profound sense of justice in who you are. You won't be triggered anymore, or will you be reflective? Your external world will not be reflecting what needs to be healed at a base core level anymore, so you won't be triggered anymore. All of this will be very, very prominent in your life, and you'll be able to really come back into the sense of power that is not integrated or connected to somebody not understanding and truly seeing who you are. And therein lies your time to shine, because you'll be creating a new energetic energy that's not bringing in the old at any time, which creates new energetic opportunities and a new way for you to be out in the world. It's very exciting and a lot easier. Now we're not saying that we want you to fall away from. We want you to really, we're working, as I'm doing this, I want you to know that we're working with the Archangel Oracle cards now. We don't want you to be ashamed or fearful or worried in any way about these baseline. If the sadness does come in, allow it to come in. Again, just allow everything to come in. You don't need to go there. We're not asking you to go there or go through it or sign up with a therapist. Or this healing's already been done. This is just a switch in perception. This is the final cord cutting. Again, we have Archangel Michael working with us through this with Archangel Metatron, and calling in Jesus to Mother Mary, Queen of Angels. Also, they come as a tandem when I work with them anyway, and just opening up your heart chakra. That's another thing. It's laid in your heart chakra. There's just a little bit of that heartbreak there. It's really heartbreaking, actually. So allow in those tears, allow in that sadness, but it only comes in to a certain degree. So allow it in to experience it one last time so you can release it. You're not bringing it in so it's integrating into the system at all. So there's nothing to be afraid of. Just allow in all of, let the emotions run all over you. Don't worry about them staying or sticking, because Archangel Michael is right there to cut those cords. And we have Archangel, well, he is an archangel to me, Jesus right there to heal that heartbreak and that disappointment. So let's see what we have here. These two are coming out. So let's see what we have. Chakra clearing. Yes. Archangel Metatron. Hello. Call upon me to clear and open up your chakras using sacred geometric shapes. We just said that. Moving through, particularly you'll find for most of you with the heart chakra too, just clearing out the old stagnant energy again. As you've worked with this energy, most of the energy has been worked through in the chakras. It's just old stagnant energy working through the chakras. As we've said in the other in Pile 1 and Pile 2, we have a unicorn therapy where we're working with meditations, clearing, activation, and healing in all of the chakras. We start at the Earth Star chakra, which is a chakra right underneath your base chakra. It's underneath your feet and going all the way up to your crown chakra. Should you feel as though you need a little extra help and support after this healing, feel free to check them out. They're on the channel. They're completely free. And you don't have to go, don't overdo this. Don't overthink this. You don't have to do absolutely every single one of them. If you feel called to, always listen to your intuition. Of course, do that. But if a certain chakra meditation in the unicorn therapy is calling to you, just go ahead and do that one. Absolutely. Don't take on so much work. It's just about clearing out the old remnants of the original pain. That's what we're asking you to do. So that's extra light and love and activation for you. But definitely, if you're called to, for the heart chakra and the Earth Star chakra for you, those two, I'm being told to let you know those two are calling out for me, for you to look up in the unicorn therapy, and maybe your third eye chakra too. But if any or all of them on top of the ones that we've suggested call out, do those too. Again, always listen to your intuition. It never steers you wrong. Crystal clear intentions. Archangel Michael, who is with us. So we have Archangel Metatron and Archangel Michael, the two angels that, well, obviously we're working with Archangel Metatron. That's no surprise there, but we did bring in Archangel Michael. So this is absolutely clear, letting you know that they really are there. Be clear about what you desire, focus upon it with unwavering faith. Now, this is something that you will be able to do once this is cleared properly. Now, you have a very, very powerful thought process. You are very good visualizers. When you've thought of something, you get it. Now, that also means that things that you've thought of that you didn't want come in too. It also means that be careful what you ask for, because sometimes you ask for it and you've been given it and oh shit, I didn't want that. So this is something that you already know. But to clear out all of the old and then to be able to work with clear intuitions gives you that opportunity that we said for new opportunities to come in, because your wavelength will be different. You'll be coming from a baseline. The baseline of your energy will no longer be in disappointment and a little bit of fear. It will be cleared out. So once that's cleared out, the fact that you are already amazing visualizers, those crystal clear intentions will be able to bring things effortlessly to you, these new sense of opportunities for you. So that's another reason for you to clear out at this base level. We also have earth magic here. It's also divine timing for you. It is time to shine, remember. And you have the energetic resonance for you to be able to do this now because of all the work that you've done in the past. Remember, this is just, imagine you, as I've just seen, making this really decadent, beautiful cake. You've got all the layers, you've got all the sponge layers, you've got all the cream frosting layers, and you've got the beautiful frosting on the top. All we're asking you to do is put the cherry on top and then present it. That's all it is. So don't think you have to go back and bake the cake and do this or change the icing or do anything like this. Don't make things more work for yourself than you need to, as you have done, as you're apt to do, pile 3. Sometimes you make things a little bit more painful than you need to be, a little bit more you put in too much work into things. You know, it's almost like you've done things the hard way. It's almost like you're out to prove I can do this anyway, no matter what. I'm going to put myself in the situation anyway. I'm going to prove to you that I can survive. Well, we know you can survive. When you're not asking to work at that level anymore. We're asking you to step up into this really, really beautiful, clear, easy, effortless life that you absolutely deserve. Crystal clear intentions. You definitely know what you want. You definitely know what you want. You always have. And that's how you have that precision power that you have with that passion. When you set your mind on something, you get it. You don't always want it when you get it, but you know, that's the younger you, or the younger version of you. It's got nothing to do with age. You've matured now, and now when you put your sights on something, you absolutely know what you want. And it took you a while to figure out what you really want versus what you felt like you should go for, or what you felt like you should settle for. So all of that has been worked on. All of that has been integrated. So remember, you're just working on the cherry on top of the cake. Go back to the original source, release it. We've got Archangel Metatron, we've got Archangel Michael here for you, ready to go for you. Absolutely. Harmony and music. A lot of you could be musical, but a lot of you, whether you play an instrument, music's always been something that's going to return you to something. You have this real easy kind of, I don't know if clairsentience, it's like this emotional sort of attraction to music too, like something can really bring you back to that moment, like that smell, that music. So music can really help you in this moment while you're doing this, really raise your frequency. So rely on it as something. That's the other thing you tend to do when you've decided that you've wanted to do something. Not only do you want to do it the hard way, you want to do it on your own. You kind of shut out everything. I'm going to do it my own way. There's nothing wrong with that. You're very stubborn. When you use that stubbornness in a more open, freedom way, there's nothing that you can't do. But you're being asked to bring in other sources. Work with your guides on this. You've got the two angels here. Work with music. Work with whoever and whatever you can to make this a very streamlined affair as you move from one existence to the other. You don't need to, you know, pull up your arms. Oh, let's go into battle. Let's do this. You know, you've often gone into healing with let's do this. Let's battle it out. And that's fine. That's the way in which you've done it. You've got these intense, beautiful experiences because of it. And because of that, it's made you who you are. So there's nothing wrong with that. But you're being asked to make this a lot easier. Like when you're birthing, you know, get that music out there. Just birth this new essence of you in the most easiest, peaceful, loving way possible. Peaceful and loving, 2 words. So yes, use music to help you there. Oh, wonderful. Shaman, ancient healing wisdom, absolutely, without any doubt. This is the wisdom that you've already had. This is a new way to work with this wisdom, a wisdom that you haven't integrated, and bring it to people, time to shine in a brand new way. Whereas before, you always knew that you had this wisdom, but you could only access it a certain way, access it through the sort of the archives of the pain that you went through. Now that you're working with the cherry on top of the cake, and you're shelling out and moving through the basic stuff that you need to move through, you'll be able to have that ancient wisdom coming in from the sense of freedom that you have. Whereas before, you attached to fear, you attached to some, as we would say, the more negative emotions. But that brought you power because that's how you worked with it. Now you'll be able to tap into your ancient wisdom through freedom, through beauty, through patience, through gentleness, through love. Love is what it is. You've worked with fear for like the first 30 years, or it doesn't matter how old you are. Now you're going to be working with love. So this is a very exciting time for you. There's nothing much more for you to do here. You're definitely the type of person that's always going to be learning new things, trying new things on. You're being asked to not really, the way in which you express this ancient wisdom will be coming very much from you and from your heart. It's not going to be coming from it's going to be coming from the emotionality side of you. It's not going to become from research or anything that's already out there. You're going to integrate your ancient knowledge and bring it out in a very way that's you. Having said that, you'll always be reading. You'll always be picking up new information. You'll always be utilizing new information, but you'll utilize it through your own catalyst and bring it to the world in a brand new way. You're not one for just following one way of doing things, and you always urge people, and I am totally 100% aligned with that. You'll instruct people, or you'll ask people to look at the whole thing and not just follow one thing or one person or one way of doing things. There's a million different ways to get to where you need to be, and to remain open at all times. And the best is take a little bit of this, take a little bit of that, and put it in for yourself. There's not one way of doing things. So that's going to become very, very firmly, you already have that as an essence of who you are, but the way in which you pronounce your wisdom and pull it out of yourself and present it to the world is very much in that way, even though you're always researching and finding out new things. Very interested in culture, very interested in different types of magic and medicine. This could take you on many different journeys, and again, you'll be integrating all of that and bringing it back into who you are, with having utmost respect for the culture that's brought you in and taught you certain things. You do have a lot of respect, and not passing it off on your own. Nothing like that. You have an abundance amount of respect, maybe too much respect, so much respect that you've not even gone there. Once you do this, you'll be going there and bringing back that energy and integrating that into the world on your own terms. Again, bring in your angels, bring in that music, whatever you need. This is going to be effortless for you, a new way of being, new way of opportunities. No longer you've worked with the light, but no longer being motivated by the darkness or fear anymore. The love and acceptance that you will have for yourself, again, from the star chakra, and healing up completely the star chakra and the base chakra, feeling very secure in the knowledge of who you are and what your next step is, and not doubting yourself anymore. Just this real open, easy breezy cover girl way of living. And it's going to be not the actual cover girl, obviously. We're not talking about makeup, but just being out there on your own terms, like really free. This is the last part of you being really free. So let in that betrayal, let in that disappointment. It doesn't need to seep in, and it doesn't need to stay. Let it in so you can cord cut that right out of there and move into this beautiful new height, and get that shaman wisdom out into the world. Again, this is your time to shine. This is your time. You're ready. You're absolutely ready. So we sincerely hope, Pal 3, that we gave you some healing, activation, some support, whatever it is that you needed. Again, some other resources. Look up the unicorn therapy, other resources that we have for you. We also have the Beyond Fear and the Unicorn School of Light. Link is down below. That is free if you feel as though you want to go ahead and do that. I think day 1 deals with going back and working sort of with parental energies. You don't have to physically call them up if they're still living, if they passed over. Now, trigger warning is a little bit triggering for some people. So if you feel as though that's not for you, then please don't do it. But if it does, your intuition is telling you to do the Beyond Fear. That's another thing that you can do, Pal 3, especially day 1 of Beyond Fear. It's completely free. And that will solidify the work that we've been doing today. Again, only do it if you feel like you are ready. If it triggers you in any form, or it doesn't appeal to you, it's not where you need to be, just click on out of it. Don't go there. But otherwise, we have the unicorn therapy. Use those chakras, those chakra healings and meditations and clearings any way that you want. And we also have intuition and the oracle, working with your intuition, not just with oracle cards, but working with your intuition. That's also free on this channel. And of course, if you haven't joined us yet, do feel free to give us a thumbs up. Let us know in the comments if this how this worked for you, this beautiful reading, and do let us come join us. You're welcome to click that bell icon and of course subscribe to this channel. Lots of resources here for you at any time. So lots of different ways to work with us and this energy. Sending so much light and love to you, Pal 3. Really excited to see what you're going to do in this new golden time of opportunity. It's basically here already. Time is non-linear, right? It's man-made. It's already here. It's here for the taking. So go be you, shine your light, and until we meet again, stay safe and sane. Bye-bye.